us in Washington in the negotiating process from hour to hour, minute to minute, it seems. But certainly to see it in the final stages of this, whether or not this is actually going to happen. Why does it make such a big difference?
It makes a huge difference because the rest of the globe, particularly, say, for example, the European Union and the Eurozone is barely growing. It's stagnant. It was in recession in 12. It could be in recession in 13. And if you lop off any growth from the US economy, that will have a ripple effect across the Atlantic. Literally like dropping the proverbial stone, you will feel the ripples go across the Pacific to Asia, to Japan and to China and to all those countries, and across the Atlantic to Europe. I was talking a few moments ago to Olli Rehn. He is the Vice President for the European Commission. He's also the Economics Commissioner for the European Union. The chief, if you like, of economics. He says we're concerned about the US going over the cliff. It's time for a partial deal, and we support the efforts of US policymakers. He said it would have a negative impact, and he said if there's no deal before the year's end. And Europeans tonight are, not that it makes much difference, are calling very firmly on all the parties in Washington to get a deal done.
So, Richard, I don't know if Washington is listening to anybody outside of Washington yet, but we'll see how the day goes. There's a lot of blame that's being directed to the United States, but you know, you look at the Eurozone, and it had its own issues. I mean, it took them quite a bit of time before they could actually get their own deal, their bailout deals done. Yeah. Is there a backlash, do you suppose? Is there a bit of blame that is actually not warranted?
And you're right. You'll remember the president did actually admonish the Europeans to get a deal done. Tim Geithner said again and again it was time for the Europeans to stop messing about. The Canadian finance minister was furious at the G8 at the way the Europeans were behaving. Geithner even came over to Europe to try and sort of chivvy them along what he was so worried. Now, I don't think the fiscal cliff is quite as dramatic and dreadful as if there'd been a Greek exit or if the Eurozone had collapsed. That would have been far worse. But this drip, you're talking about it hour after hour, this drip effect is corrosive to investor confidence, to consumer confidence, because ultimately it will slow down economies on both sides of the Atlantic. That is not an opinion, that is a fact.
All right, Richard Quest, thank you. We're going to be watching that drip all day. Hopefully, turn off the faucet. This thing is not going to happen. We appreciate it, Richard. Thanks. It is the oldest Bible known to humankind. We're going to get an up-close look at the secrets of the Dead Sea Scrolls.
As the year counts down, your savings can add up.